Good morning. My name is Clay Lee. Today I'm going to share with you what I've learned helping customers implementing CalemEAM. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm the CEO of CalemEAM. My job is to ensure that our customers are successful with CalemEAM. CalemEAM was initiated in 2006. Version 1.0 was released in 2007. Our mission is to deliver the best EAM CMMS solutions through business-friendly open source technologies and superior customer services. Our product is Calem Enterprise subscription. It includes the enterprise products, maintenance, and technical support. Calem Enterprise is a full-featured CMMS solution. It includes the maintenance functions, asset location, schedules, work orders, service request and change management, inventory and supporting modules, system functions including multi-site access control, data and screen customization, and workflows. It also includes client functions including web client, mobile client, and offline client. One of the pain points of adopting a CMMS solution is the implementation. Today, I'm going to introduce the iterations of implementations or baby steps that can be effective in implementing a CMMS solution. And an iteration of implementation involving the goal setting at the beginning, learning the functions to implement, set up data for that function, and roll out that function to the field. Before we get started, we need to get vendor resources lined up. For vendor resources, you would need the training materials, including videos, blogs, and menus. And you also need, you can also take training classes. And if you take training classes from vendors, you can incorporate the implementation iterations into the training process. You also need vendor support resources. You need to get in touch with your support contact via email, phone, or you can request web meeting to resolve issues interactively. For Calem, we have the enterprise training videos available at the Calem website. If you go to calemeam.com, and you can click on the training section, there are information about the training videos. The first iteration is to use work orders for repairs. And the goal is to use work orders to record all the repair work you've done. And you start by watching videos of asset module and work order module. That's part number 2.0 and 2.3 of the Calem Enterprise training videos. And you can then populate your user, location, and assets. And after that, you can start to write work orders for your repairs. So the training video involves information about assets and locations and the processes and how to use work orders. So after you've learned the processes, and you can then upload the data, and the data includes users, locations, and assets. So for users, you can kind of fill out the user login name, full name, site, whether or not it's maintenance staff, and what is the job role, like electrician, mechanic, and the job title. For locations, you can set up a site, the location name node, and your IT, the location group, and owner, user, and department. For asset, you can kind of fill out the asset group, the model number, the information about the node, and the serial number if available, asset number, and location, plus manufacturer. So once you have assets, location, and users configured, you can write work orders prior to repairs. That's the normal procedure. You can also write work orders for the repairs you have completed. So you would start this with a small set of users, locations, and assets. And as you move along and learning from the implementation, you can repeat this iteration. And for each repetition of the iteration, you add more users, locations, and assets. The second iteration is to formalize jobs and schedules. And in Calem, this involves using PM plans and PMs. You start by watching videos and learning about the PMs and PM plans, set up PM plans and PMs, and use them in your operations. And a PM plan is just a standard job template. A standard piece of job includes the labor requirement, like electrician for 1 hour, safety and environmental measures, downtime requirement for the equipment, steps to execute for the job, spare parts, special permits, special tools for the job, and also the drawings and procedures to perform the job. And you can also attach a time schedule like every 3 months. You can then apply the PM plan to an asset or location which will generate work orders with an initial due date. You can then continue on with setting up PM plans and PMs. So now you can roll out the PMs and PM plans to the field. The CMMS system will generate work orders from PMs. You can also create work orders from PM plans and PMs manually. This would save you time without filling out the steps, security measures, safety measures, material labor requirements, etc. And you can start with a small set of PM plans and PMs. And as you gain experience, you can repeat this iteration. For each repetition, you can add more PM plans and PMs. The third iteration is capturing issues. And you want to capture all the issues for your maintenance operations from your maintenance staff, operational staff, your clients, and customers. You can start watching videos of a service request, which is part 2.4, and then you can set up for issue entry and use service requests in your operations. There are 3 ways you can have issues recorded in Calem. One is you can set up email address for people to send email to this email address, and Calem would create a service request for you. And you can also have a user goes to your cloud service and just enter the service request without logging. This saves you without purchasing additional user seats. You can also have login users create service request. Your service dispatchers can then analyze the service requests and turn them into work orders if additional maintenance activities are required. For the service request anonymous entry, you can either have them goes to your cloud service to click the link to enter it, or you can embed this entry screen into your production website. And once you have service requests created in the system, you can roll them into work orders. You can create work orders from a service request. When work orders are completed, the service request will also be completed. The next iteration is the KPIs. You want to use KPIs to drive improvement. You can start with watching training videos of dashboard to learn about the KPIs. You can then select KPIs to track and review the KPIs regularly. You probably want to start with a couple KPIs like unplanned downtime for equipment, Or you can start with reviewing assets with the most of your maintenance resources, like the assets incurring the most work orders and the most labor hours. There are KPIs covering different areas of maintenance operation, so you want to start with a couple, and you can set KPI goals and review them regularly. Use them to identify areas for improvement. As you move along and you gain confidence with your KPIs and your operations, you can repeat this iteration by adding more KPIs to track. The next iteration is to use mobile for your field workforce. And mobile clients improve the maintenance efficiency, so your technicians can report issues in the field by taking photos and complete work orders in the field. And you can start watching training videos of client functions, which is part 5 for Calem Enterprise. And you can then select users and a device to start a mobile solution. And people can then create complete work orders with the mobile clients. And in the client function training, you should focus on Calem Touch. Start to install and practice using the touch applications with your devices. And you can identify which device you want to start with. You could start with iPad or tablet initially, or you can start with a phone initially, depending on your requirements. You can then start with a selective users to use the mobile solution and gain experience. So you can then repeat this iteration to add more devices and more users to the mobile solution. The next iteration is managing spare parts. And you can start watching videos about the inventory module and populate items and physical stocks and use spares in work orders. You can learn the inventory module by understanding the global items, your master items, and also site inventory for each plant. You might have different stores, locators for different sites and plants. And you can then learn the transactions to manage the spares, like receiving and checkout to work orders. Once you've learned the module, you can then prepare the data to upload the global items, upload the site items, stores, and locators, and then set a physical stock using Excel templates. And you can then roll the module out to the field for selective spare parts, and you can then issue spare parts to work orders, receive them from shipping. And you can then repeat this iteration to add more spare parts to the inventory module and to track them. Next iteration is iteration 7, is change management. You want to manage changes in CMMS. A change normally involves multiple departments like safety, QA, production, and maintenance. And you can watch training video about the processes and roles for change management. And then you can set up change management roles and start to track changes in your CMMS. The roles for changes typically involves your review board, the line manager, the change manager, and the change requester. Once you have them set up, you can start tracking changes and roll them out to selective departments to start small with a couple changes in the departments to start with. And as you gain experience, you can roll out to other areas to manage more changes. The next iteration is managing employee schedules. Once you put employee schedules in Calem, you can use them to manage assignment. And you can watch training videos to learn about the schedules and weekly schedule screens. And you can then set up schedules, have Calem generate the user schedules for you, and use the schedules in assigning work orders. So if you have schedules configured and generated in the system, you can use weekly schedule screen to view work orders to be assigned and available hours of the maintenance staff you have. You can then drag and drop to do work order assignment. Calem supports schedules of fixed weekly schedule or multi-week rotational schedules with day and night shifts. And you can roll this out for selective teams initially. Once you gain experience, and you can then add more teams to the schedule management. The next iteration you want to do is you can manage your maintenance performance with the service level agreements. You can define the service level agreements and then manage them to see how many times you are not complying to the service level agreements. You can start by watching the training videos and set SLA contracts and use them in work orders and service requests. For the SLA contracts can be defined for work orders and service requests. If a work order is not in compliance with your service level agreement, for instance, if you say for emergency work orders, they need to be completed within 1 day of required time. And if the work order is not in compliance, a service alarm will be raised. So you can then go to dashboard viewing service alarms to see your compliance. And for service request, there are also SLA parameters you can define for how soon you need to respond to service request, how soon you should be on site, and how soon a request should be resolved. You can use the service level agreements in work orders and in service requests. These are internal kind of SLA agreements you define for yourself, and you can monitor them. You can also define them for your customers. And as you gain experience, you may define more SLA contracts by repeat this iteration. The iteration 10, this is the last iteration, is optimizing your spare replenishment. And you can watch the training video to learn about the requisition, purchase orders, min-max, and vendors. Setting up min-max and vendors for spare parts, and use requisition and purchase orders. And for min-max, you can define them for selective spare parts and define selective vendors and prices. You start small, you define small set of spares with the min-max and a small set of vendors with prices. And the CMMS may generate the requisitions based on your min-max and stock levels. And you can then set up roles for requisitions and purchase orders. And the system will generate requisitions based on the min-max. And you can also use requisition to request the spare parts. Use purchase orders to order spares from your vendors. As you gain experience, you can add more items with min-max and vendors, and more rows for your requisition and purchase. And by doing this repetition, you can then extend the use of the CMMS for the spare parts replenishment. Finally, you need to pay attention to the contiguous improvement. So you ought to review the operational KPIs in your CMMS system regularly and identify new KPIs, and you can also request your vendors to add new KPIs as you identify them, and use KPIs to identify areas for improvement. This process should be done regularly. And that's all the iterations of implementation that you can use to effectively implement your CMMS. I'm now open for questions.